Hello and welcome back to another episode of Random Tech. Before I get this video started, I want to make a quick little note. So I'm trying to improve the quality of my videos. I'm not too happy with my with my video on the HP desktop I made a few months ago. First of all, I think the audio was way too quiet. And second of all, I kept moving the camera around way too much. So I'm trying to fix that. So the first thing I'm going to do is record the audio separately with a much higher quality mic. And the second thing I'm going to do is use a fixed camera angle. So I have my phone on a tripod here, and I'm not going to move the phone at all. I'm just going to move the laptop while I make this video. So yeah, so with that out of the way, let's get started. So in this video I will be talking about this HP G60-635dx laptop I got. I got this for free from a family member. It had a few issues with it when I got it. The most notable one is the fact that the LVDS cable for the screen, which is basically the cable that connects the motherboard to the LCD panel, that cable was very damaged. So if you would adjust the angle of the hinge, the image would either distort, or it might be fine a little bit, then you touch it again and the image is very distorted, and it was practically unusable. So I did repair that. I'll talk about how I did that in a bit, but let's go over just the laptop real quick. So it actually looks pretty nice. I believe these laptops were made around 2009 to 2010, because when I looked at the Amazon page, the reviews were mostly from that time period, so safe to assume that it was sold, yeah, like I said, around 2009 and 2010. It looks pretty sleek. It is a bit thick, but otherwise, I mean, this could be a new laptop. Maybe the gray trim looks a little dated, or the gray palm rest and all that. Aside from that, like I said, pretty nice laptop. On the side here, we can see our ports. Make sure the camera is focused. We have our VGA, Ethernet, HDMI, USB, and USB 2.0, and our SD card reader. On the front here, we have our headphone and microphone. Actually, I can't see which one is which due to the lighting in the room, but I actually like how they have these ports separated on this laptop, unlike the newer ones where they're combined into one and you have to use an adapter. So that's pretty handy. Flip it over to this side, and you can see the DVD drive, as well as another two USB 2.0 ports and a modem port. Also, it looks like there's a Kensington lock port. So yeah, it's got a lot of ports. I'm actually surprised that it has HDMI, considering the age of this laptop. Let's take a look at the inside here. So we have our keyboard, and let me see if the lighting is fine. There we go. Which is actually surprisingly decent. I'll talk more about that later in the video. We have our trackpad, which is nice. Dedicated buttons, which I really like compared to newer laptops where it's all just one large trackpad. We have our stickers here. So this machine originally had Windows 7, and as the operating system I reinstalled. It also uses an Intel Pentium, and I will talk about the model and all that later. As far as the display is concerned, it's just a standard 1366 by 768 15.6 inch panel. It is TN, and it is backlit with CCFLs, which is pretty standard for 2009. To the top here, it's pretty scratched up. That's because it uses this glossy plastic, that's impossible to keep in good condition. Flipping it to the bottom, you can see there are compartments and everything. At the top we have the slot for the battery, which I have removed because the battery that came with this laptop did not hold a charge at all. We also have this is where the Wi-Fi card goes, and these are slots for the RAM. This machine has 3 GB of DDR2 RAM installed. Down here is where the hard drive is. I believe it's a 320 GB Toshiba hard drive. It's the one that came with this laptop. One of the cool things about this laptop is that when I got it, it had all the original parts, well, except for the power adapter. A lot of the time with used computers in general, they don't come with hard drives, but this one did. So yeah, let's go ahead and boot this thing up and see how it performs. One of the things I forgot to mention is how I actually repaired this laptop, and it's a lot simpler than I thought it would be. Unfortunately, I don't have footage of the repair process that I can use because the audio was all messed up. I might overlay some of that footage actually when I edit the video. We'll see. But basically all I did was, let's see here. On the bottom there are a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 screws that you need to remove, all of which are under the battery compartment. So we have 3 screws here, and these are for the keyboard, and then we have the other 5 screws up here. Actually that looks like 4 screws, so a total of 7 screws. So, like I said, the other 4 screws are up here, and when you remove those, you flip the laptop over, open it up, and then I just took a small flathead screwdriver and started prying up from the corner of the laptop. Okay, you can see a little bit of marks, so you can see some marks there from when I did that, but basically the entire keyboard bezel, which runs all the way around, popped off, and then I was able to remove the keyboard. With that off, I actually had direct access to the part where the LVDS cable connects to the motherboard, as well as the screws for the display hinge. So I basically just disconnected the cable from the motherboard and then completely removed the entire display assembly, which I then took apart to disconnect the LVDS cable from the actual screen itself. And then when the new part came, I just put it back in, put the display assembly back on the laptop, and just reassembled everything. It was surprisingly simple. I don't have a service manual for this, so I just figured it out as I went along, and I didn't have any issues. So yeah, not bad at all. So let's go ahead and get this running Windows. So I have the computer booted into Windows 7 here. So let's start off by opening computer. And you can see some more detailed information here. So we have our dual-core Pentium T4300 at 2.10 gigahertz, our 3 gigabytes of RAM, and let's take a look at the experience index. So as you can see, the main bottleneck on this laptop is the graphics, the integrated graphics. It scored a 3.3 on gaming, which is not good at all, and that was reflected when I was running benchmarks. I'll talk more about that in a second. We can look at some more detailed information here. You can see our hard drive here. It's supposed to be 320 gigabytes, but I guess after formatting it's only 298 total. And here's the integrated graphics I was talking about. So this is the mobile Intel chipset, I guess. It's got about a little under 1.5 gigabytes of total graphics memory, which might sound like a lot, but it's not really, because it's shared with the RAM. It only has 64 megabytes of dedicated graphics memory. And in real world use, the integrated graphics are very slow. So I have some programs on a flash drive here that I want to open. And as you can see, as I'm opening all these folders and everything, the operating system feels very responsive. I'll zoom out a bit, there you go. But yeah, the operating system feels very responsive. So let's go ahead and go to this flash drive. PC info. I'll start off with core temp. So as you can see, our idle temperature right now is around 34 degrees Celsius, which is pretty good, especially considering the age of this laptop. The thermal paste has never been replaced, and the fan has never been cleaned, so I was actually expecting a lot worse. Compared to my personal laptop, which idles at around 54 degrees, I mean, this thing is running really cool. Actually, I'm going to leave that up so we can just kind of see if the temperature fluctuates as I use it. Okay, let's open CPU-Z. Okay. And there's some more information about the processor. Now you can see we have 1 megabyte of level 2 cache. Here's our 3 gigabytes of DDR2 RAM that I mentioned. And wow, only 332.5 megahertz. It's pretty slow. And these are the graphics I was talking about. So yeah, not really good. And I guess we can go ahead and try to benchmark the CPU real quick. Yeah. I'll zoom in so you can see that better. That score is pretty bad. Now we're doing the single core, or single thread. So when using this laptop, it definitely shows its age. We can try to compare this to some other processor. There's really nothing in here. Here we go, Core 2 Duo. And even that, it's still a lot slower. I actually ran a Geekbench, so we can take a look at the results for that. Let's see here. Pictures. No. Documents. Benchmark results. Geekbench. So I just took a screenshot after I ran it, but you can see the single core score isn't that bad actually. It's about on par with the current Intel Pentium, like you might find in a newer laptop. But the multi-core is really low. Most newer Pentiums or Celerons or even Atoms are all quad-core, and this one is only dual-core, so that definitely shows in the multi-core score. But single-core performance is still pretty good. I mean, relatively, all things considered, this isn't like a really old laptop. And here you can see our CPU mark score. I don't have any screenshots for the other benchmarks because as I was benchmarking this in Passmark, it actually crashed. It gave me a blue screen of death halfway through the 3D mark test. So I lost all of those. I reran it just for the CPU mark. But I actually looked it up. This score right here is about on par with a new Intel Atom. So this computer isn't completely obsolete as far as CPU performance goes. So yeah, let's see how it works in real world use. Let me open Task Manager. And we can see our CPU usage is about at 1%. It's going down to 0 here, so. And it's using a little under a gigabyte of our 3 gigabytes of RAM. So it runs Windows 7 pretty well. Now let's open up Firefox here. And that took a little bit to open, so let me close that and open it again. And that's a bit faster. So I guess I'll go ahead and go to a website real quick, or just look something up. Let's see, HP G60. And as you can see, that web page loaded pretty quickly. You can scroll up and down just fine, no lag. You can go to images here, scroll all the way down. And the only issue here is my Wi-Fi speed. That's why all the pictures aren't loading, but as you can see, as far as web browsing is concerned, this laptop is actually pretty decent. I can go to a newer website, so maybe Best Buy. And scroll down. So yeah, pretty smooth, no lag scrolling up and down this page. You can look for something. And the fan is speeding up. I want to check this real quick. So this is maxing out our CPU. And our temperatures actually stayed about the same. So yep. So web browsing is just fine. Let's try YouTube playback. Let's look up just 1080p test video. And I guess we'll go with this looks. We'll try this video. Turn the volume down. That's not what I wanted. Here, we'll try this one. Oh, it looks like we just. I was just gonna say the laptop froze, but I guess not. See, we can scroll down. No lag on YouTube. Let's open up this video full screen. And we're running at 720p, but that's just fine because this laptop screen resolution is only 1366 by 768, so there's really no need to run at 1080p. And right now the video looks just fine. No lag that I can see. See if I can find something with a bit more action. Yeah, this will work. But yeah, so it's handling this video just fine. Let me try to turn it up to 1080p. It's gonna take a little while to load. And it appears to be running just fine. I think there is a little bit of lag that would be more evident on a more fast-paced scene, but this computer can handle YouTube playback. So yeah, I don't really have any other programs on this thing. I guess I have VLC, but I don't really know what I would test with that. I did try to run a movie. Shoot, low battery on my phone real quick. Okay, so I did try to run a movie and it worked just fine through the built-in DVD drive. But yeah, VLC opens up quickly. And like I said, other than that, I don't really have any more programs to test. So basically this laptop can really only be used for web browsing. Just the integrated graphics aren't good enough for any sort of gaming or other tasks that might need graphics, and the processor itself is pretty limited by today's standards. But all in all, it's still a pretty good laptop. Like I said earlier, the keyboard's really nice. The trackpad's just fine. The screen's pretty good. I mean, it's still TN, so the viewing angles are going to be limited. But just as far as like contrast ratio and all that, the screen is much better than some that you might find on newer laptops. And it's definitely usable. It is a little dim from the years of use. It does have a sort of yellow tint that you can't really see in the video due to the white balance on my camera. But yeah, still definitely usable. I don't know what I'm going to do with this laptop, but I don't know, it's just kind of nice to have around. I might run Linux on it. It might be a good machine to kind of play around with Ubuntu or something and just really learn how it works. But I'll just kind of see. It might just sit on my shelf for years, who knows. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. Like I said, I was trying to improve the quality of my videos, and hopefully this one's an improvement over the last one. I don't know. But yeah, thanks for watching.